Hello friends and welcome. My name is Popeye and today we're playing some more Steins Gate Zero. Before we get started, just a couple of things to note. First of all, this game does have some pretty mature themes that are not for everyone. I just want to make sure that you are aware of those in case that is not for you. If that's not for you, please, by all means, find somewhere that is somewhere you'd rather be. Sorry, I ate part of my mustache. That was gross. But yes, this game has some mature themes, including but not limited to death, dismemberment, torture, rape, abuse, child rape, swearing, violence, blood, gore, partial nudity. I think that about covers it. But yeah, if any of those things are not for you, please, I will not, I will not be insulted. Please find somewhere that you would rather be tonight. The other announcement is with the finishing of Trails in the Sky second chapter on Wednesdays, Steins Gate will now be running both Saturdays and Wednesdays for the foreseeable future. This is just because at some point coming up soon, I will be moving into a new house, and I didn't want to start a new game and kind of like leave it, 4 or 5 episodes in kind of deal. So yeah, so if you are interested in following the Steins Gate Zero storyline, you can either check it out on YouTube when I post it, or you can make sure you're there for the Wednesday streams also, which is Wednesdays 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, I think that's it for housekeeping stuff. Last time in Steins Gate, we spent some time as Maho learning about her past with Christina before Christina went to Japan from their lab in America. And we spent a lot of time as Okabe trying to find this child that Suzuha lost from the future in the past. And then they would be 22, I think now, 21, 22. We tried to find them, and no help was found there. So Maho just decided she wanted to see our lab because she was curious because Amadeus Christu told her about it, and she's going to be sorely disappointed because it's literally like a bunch of vacuums and like a microwave, and yeah, it's not very impressive. Let's get on with it then.
すまん。どこまで話したんだったか。
他にもカガリタンを探してる人間がいるって話。
Kagari is the child that we were looking for from the future who got lost in the past and would be 20-ish, 22-ish.
そう、それだ。それは本当なんですか、桐生さん。
Alright, and we hired Kiryu Moeka to look into it. I looked back down at Mocha's report where she'd written all the details, and from what I remember in her report, she did not find the child, but had a lead, which was, we are not the only group of people searching for the child, there's another group of people, and that's what's in her report. She'd even hired a private investigator to check it out, which meant that was probably true.
それが鈴葉という可能性はないんだろうか。
それは私も考えた。でも探していたのは男の人。中には外国人も。
Foreigners? Why would they be looking for Kagari?
こっちでかがりと関わりがあるのは私だけだ。それなのに一体誰が？
Could it be CERN? Maybe CERN realized that she was from the future and had gone looking for her? If that was the case, then Moeka would have to know about it. No, the rounders were all given their orders individually, so it makes sense if she didn't know what the others were up to.
椎名かがりはこっちに来てもう12年にもなる。その間、知り合いができたとしてもおかしいことじゃないな。
つうか、むしろ誰かの世話にならないと生きていけないっしょ。
That's true. Is that the first time we've agreed with Dargo on something that's... Okay, we'll take that.
椎名かがりを知る何者かがここ最近何らかの理由から彼女を探しているということと、少なくとも最近まで椎名かがりは生きていたっていうことだ。
あ、そっか。
Unless they could travel through time like Suzuha, they were looking for her. That meant that they'd known where she was until she disappeared. People started looking for her in the last few months. That meant she'd been alive until then. There's nothing else to be learned from Moeka's report.
どうする？
引き続き調査をお願いできますか？
If people were looking for Kagari in Akihabara, that meant she still might be here.
わかった。
Moeka took her payment for the work she'd done so far and left the lab. Dario had paid the bill. It seemed when his future daughter was at stake, he was willing to spend money.
人を探しているの？
Just thinking about it, Dario is this like super hacker who takes on jobs from the internet. Probably gets paid reasonably well for it. Maho had been looking around the lab with interest.
ちょっと知人をな。
What's this? We got a message. Worried me that some of the people looking for Kagari Shina weren't Japanese. Okay, it's a message from Mayuri. Hey Ocarina, what time are you getting home today? We can say, huh? Something going on? I shouldn't be that late. Won't be coming home tonight? I don't think we're supposed to be that late, but sounds like she wants us for a particular reason. Let's inquire. Let's go down that line of thinking. I met your mom. She asked me to cook tonight. What? Just to go to a meeting for the shopping street, and she wasn't sure what to do for dinner. She said she'd do the cooking. She said that was okay. Are you sure? You're busy too, aren't you, Mayuri? You don't have to do it. It's fine. I'll make something good. Come home. Right, I forgot her cooking sucks. We are no longer going home tonight. I see. Really? Seriously? I'll be waiting. Danger! That's just the entire conversation is danger. Don't eat the food. It is danger. Even outside of CERN, there were people all over the world who would jump at the chance to learn more about the time machine. They somehow learned that Kagari was from the future. That could mean she was caught up in some kind of trouble.
それじゃオカリン、そろそろ冷や上司のことを詳しく。
Okay, what's Kuusk? Net slang shortening of Kuwashiku, or give me the details. Used when you want more information about something. Okay, so that's specifically a Japanese internet short form.
詳しくって言われても前に説明したぞ。
Who's Dr. Leskinen's assistant? Both she and the professor had been very good to me. I was helping her with their work a little. I told them all this before.
例えば冷や上司がこのラボのメンバーに加わってくれる的な超展開はありますか？
Super development. In a game, anime novel, etc., refers to something that happens which completely ignores the plot and foreshadowing that occurred up until then. Super development instead takes the story in a completely new direction, similar to the phrase Deus Ex Machina. These completely unexpected plot developments leave viewers bewildered and struggling to keep up.
ないだろう。
じゃあせめて魔法担と呼んでもいいですか？つうか呼ぶ！
魔法炭？
あれ？名前間違ってた？
そうじゃなくて、その変な呼び方に引っかかったの。
でも魔法炭は魔法炭って感じじゃん。なあオカリン。
俺に振るな。
We agreed with you on one thing. That's it, Daru. We've met our quota for this lifetime.
だが断る。
Never changes, does he? I wish he would.
今日はどうしてラボに？俺、ここのことは君に話したかな？
アマデウスに教えてもらったわ。 今日は本来は話したいことがあったのだけれど、まあいいわ。噂のラボを見ることができたし、それになんだかあなたたちも大変みたいだから。
ひょっとしてあいつ怒ってたか？
ええ、とても怒ってたわ。連絡しても出ないって。
That's exactly what I expected. Yeah.
何それ何の話？
別に浮いた話じゃないからいちいち反応するなって。
岡部さん、やっぱり辛いの？だったらテスターやめてもらっても。
あ、いや、そういうわけじゃないんだ。ただ
I hated how I was starting to feel dependent on her.
また気が向いた時にでも話してあげて。あの子も寂しがってるわ。
わかった。
The word lonely made my heart ache a little. But even so, I didn't talk to Chrissy that day. Which means it's a different day now. Oh, we jumped ahead 3 days. Several days had passed since Moeka had given her report. I checked last night, and evidently, there was nothing new to say. She had her deadlines for her magazine and said she couldn't spend a lot of time on it. That other group of people who were searching for Kagari Sheena concerned me, so I couldn't ask her to prioritize it over her own work.
マユシーはとっても残念なのです。
ん？もしかしてクリスマスパーティーの話か？
楓さんと吹雪ちゃん、用ができちゃったって。フェリスちゃんはお仕事で、ナエちゃんも店長さんと過ごすことになってて、ダルくんはユキさんと遊びに行くんだって。
結構なことじゃないか。
I'd heard that Sousa had gone through a lot of work to set that up. He was always complaining that Dargo wasn't making his intentions clear with Yuki. From Susa's perspective, her own existence was at stake. Even if it was already fated to happen, something still might interrupt it. More than anything, she probably wanted to see her mom and dad getting along in this peaceful world. If something came out of this, it would probably make her feel better.
マイレもクリスマスは家で過ごした方がいいんじゃないのか？この前、おじさんがケーキを予約してたぞ。
お父さんに会ったの？
家の近くでばったりな。マユリをびっくりさせるために大きいのを予約するんだって張り切ってた。
そっか。じゃあその方がいいね。
あ、言っとくが、今のは聞かなかったことにしてくれ。せっかくのおじさんのサプライズだからな。
わかったよ。でもオカリンはどうするの？クリスマス。
特に予定はないかな。うちはもともとそういうことする家でもないし。
Guys at school were having a men-only drinking party, but I hadn't been invited. Kept telling them she wasn't. They insist on thinking that Mayuri was my girlfriend. Some of them had it out for me because of that.
確かサンタさんにプレゼントが欲しいって言ったら、朝枕元にお野菜が置いてあったんだよね。
どう見ても前の日の売れ残りのな。クレームをつけたら、うちはキリスト教じゃねえって逆ギレされた。
Honestly, I'm amazed I actually grew up alright. Well, you could call how I ended up
ク
alright.
リスマスが終わったらコミマがあって、そしたらもうお正月。1年あっという間だね。
そうだな。
It hadn't flown by for me at all. I'd gone through the same span of days again and again. For me, the year had been unimaginably long.
そうだ。ねえオカリン、クリスマスパーティーはできないけど、お正月パーティーをするのはどうかな。みんなで初詣に行って、それからおせち料理を食べて、今年もよろしくって言って。
ああ、いいんじゃないか。
だよねだよね。 後でみんなに聞いてみるね。
Mayuri stood up to go.
マユシーはこれからお買い物に行ってきます。
買い物？
ふぶきちゃん用のコスでね、急に小物が必要になっちゃって。
そうか。気をつけて行ってこいよ。
そうだ、オカリン。ルカ君がね、オカリンに何か相談があるみたいなの。
あ、
That's right, Lukiko had called me. After that Moak had come, and so much had happened that I'd forgotten. Knowing Lukiko, since I told him I'd call him back, he'd probably been waiting for me this whole
わか
time.
った。こっちから連絡を取ってみる。
Can we call him right now? No, we can't.
お願いね。じゃあ、行ってきまーす。
Mayuri put on her coat, waved, and went out the door. Alright, I should get in touch with Lukiko. So he wanted to talk to me. What would it be about, I wonder? He wasn't going to tell me he wanted to be a girl again, was he? No, no way. I only heard about that because of the phone wave. But then... well, I'd know once I asked.
ルカ子のやつ出ないな。
Oh well. I have to send him a Ryan. I typed in my message and sent it. Sorry, I forgot all about yesterday. He says about yesterday when it was really 3 days ago. Then I waited a while for a response to come back. There was no sign of him even reading the Ryan message. Was he busy with something? For a moment I thought of going to the shrine to see. He was busy, I didn't want to bother him. He'd contact me when he had the time. Just when I was thinking about that, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs outside the lab. It didn't sound like Daru. Daru's steps were a lot heavier.
どうぞ。
こんにちは。
ルカ子。
よかった。岡部さん、ここにいてくれて。
It was Lukiko, the boy I'd been trying to get a hold of.
すまない。この前の件すっかり忘れてたんだ。それでさっき電話したんだが。
え？あ、本当だ。ごめんなさい。僕の方こそ気づかなくて。
He looked guilty, as if he'd done something
い
wrong.
や、別にいいよ。それより寒いだろ。入ってくれ。
あ、はい。
But he hesitated, seemingly distracted by something behind him.
岡部さん、その相談の件なんですけど、実はその前に会ってもらいたい人がいて連れてきたんですけど、いいですか？
会ってもらいたい人？
Lukiko moved slightly to the side, and a girl appeared behind him.
はじめまして。
What? Impossible. The girl there was...
よろしくお願いします。
どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
I offered her a cup of tea. I poured out of a plastic bottle, and she thanked me in a voice that was almost impossible to hear. For my part, it was all I could do to keep the hand holding the cup from trembling. I took another good look at the girl sitting across from me.
似てる。
Not like Lukiko. The girl in front of me looked just like Kurisuma Kise. Her brown hair, slightly slanted eyes, her unconcerned expression. Her expression looks very concerned. She looks very worried to me. Right now there was no sign of her strong-willed nature, but other than that they were identical. I'd first seen her, my heart felt like it was going to stop. On closer inspection, some parts were different. Like the size of her breasts. Thank you, game. Why? Was she about our age? She looked older than Lukako. I knew Lukako had a sister. Could this be her? She had a quiet air about her that seemed similar to Lukako. But I thought I remembered hearing that Lukako's sister was actually quite cheerful.
岡部さん？
いや、それでルカ子は。
ルカ子？
ああ、失礼。俺はそう呼んでるんです。その女の子みたいだから。
I just realized it was a pretty rude nickname. It was a habit now, and there's no changing it.
そうなんですね。
Her expression softened just a little. She really did look just like her. I took a shallow breath and forced myself to relax.
で、ルカ子、この人は？
その前に話したことがありましたよね。お父さんのお客さんが泊まってるって。
ああ、聞いたけど、それじゃもしかして彼女が？
はい。
That was a
ルカ子の父
surprise.
親の知り合いというから、てっきりもっと年配の人かと思っていた。
違うんです。正確に言うと、お父さんの知人が連れてこられた方で。
おお。
So this wasn't the person who was talking about Harumi. That made me feel a little better.
それで相談というのはこの人についてなんですけど。
その前に名前を教えてもらってもいいかな。いつまでもこの人じゃ話しにくいだろ。
Her face clouded. Did I say something wrong?
実は相談というのはそのことなんです。この人が誰なのかを知るにはどうしたらいいでしょうか。
It took a moment before I understood what he
待っ
said.
てくれ、ルカ子。それはどういう？
記憶喪失なんだそうです。
記憶喪失？
はい。
それじゃあ名前も？
はい。
どこの誰かも？
はい。
どうして？
わかりません。
Of course not. I knew she wouldn't have amnesia.
でもどうして俺に？
岡部さんなら記憶を取り戻すいい方法を知っているんじゃないかと思って。ほら、岡部さんよく人間の脳とか記憶とかすごく難しい話をたくさんしてたから。何でもいいんです。私が自分のことを取り戻せる方法があれば。
待ってくれ。確かにそういう話はしていたが、それはただ興味があるだけで専門的なことは何も。
I knew how the brain worked and how it was laid out, and I knew what amnesia was. But bring back someone's memories was a different matter. Even the latest medical technology would be useless. Unless, of course, you had your memories stored on a system like Amadeus.
そうですか。
The girl was visibly disappointed.
だったら何か身元を調べることはできないでしょうか。かなさん、本当に辛そうで。
カナさん？
仮の名前だからカナとルカさんのお父さんが名前がないと不便だからって。
It means temporary?
ずいぶん安直だな。
Was that
い
okay?
つまでも名乗る名前でないのだからそれくらいの方がいいと。
I couldn't tell if that was deep or not.
岡部さん、なんとかならないでしょうか。せめて名前だけでもわかれば。
なんとか力になってはやりたいが、 やっぱり更新所なんかに頼んだ方がいいんじゃないのか。
更新所、探偵さんみたいなものですか？
ああ、でもそれだって何か手がかりのようなものがないと厳しいだろう。財布とかカバンとか持ってなかったのか？
そういったものは何も。
何も？別に大したものじゃなくてもいい。一つくらいありそうなものだけど。
一つだけ。ただこれが手がかりになるのかどうかは。
He slowly took out a handkerchief. It was something that was very important to her. Whatever was inside must have been the one thing she was
見
carrying.
せてもらっても。
はい。あれ、もしかしてお客さんか
Almost at the exact same time Kana opened the handkerchief, I heard Mayuri's soft voice from the front hall. Evidently, she was back from shopping. Suzuha was behind her too. That was a rare combination. Had they run into each other on the way?
な？あ、まゆりちゃん。ああ、ルカくん。ルカ兄さん、そちらの人は？うちに泊まっているお客さんで。
Kana bowed her head a little. For some reason, Mayuri gave a happy little sigh as she looked at the handkerchief in Kana's hands.
それ、ウーパですよね。
Inside of the white handkerchief was a faded Upa keychain.
好きなんですか？まゆしーもね。
It looks like a fairy or something. It's got like moth fairy wings and a crown of leaves.
もしかして手がかりというのはそれか？
It was an old Upa keychain. Is that really a clue?
でもこのウーパいつ頃のものかな。ずいぶん古いみたいだけど。
It really did, come to think of it. Upa was a character from the Rainet Kakeru anime. Rainet Kakeru, a very popular manga about the internet that appears in Roko Comics. Also has an anime, presently in its third season that runs every Sunday at 9 AM on East TV stations. While the general atmosphere and character design of the show may make it look like it's for children, its unusually realistic themes make it a show that adults can enjoy as well. Upa products had only been around for a few years now. The one I was looking at was very old.
これ、もともとは緑色だったんじゃないかな。だってこれ、森の妖精さんバージョンだもん。
森の妖精さん？
この前やってた映画に出てきたんだ。あ、ほら、まゆしーも持ってるんだけど、ここのところのデザインがちょっとだけ違うの。
I couldn't see any difference at all.
このキーホルダーね、なかなか売ってなくてずーっと探してたんだ。そしたらこの前ルカくんが見つけて買ってきてくれたのねえ、たまたまお店を覗いたら売ってたから。
しかし妙だな。この前の映画のグッズなら発売してすぐのはずだ。こんなに古くは。
Only then did I realize how pale Kana's face was.
大丈夫ですか、カナさん。
具合が悪いのか？
大丈夫。
Yeah, you look very fine. Kana tried to stand up and almost fell forward. Lukuko quickly grabbed
そう
her.
だ。何か冷たいものを。
Went to get a bottle of water out of the fridge when I noticed that Suzuha was staring at Kana in shock.
鈴葉？
そう。
え？
Strangely, Kana wasn't the only one who was shaking a little. Suzuha was too.
嘘。そのウーパー。
どうしたんだ鈴葉。
私は知ってる。そのウーパー、それ。
おい鈴葉。
Kana staggered a few steps toward Suzuha, and then a few steps more. It couldn't be. No, there was just no way. But
もしかしてお前かがり
what?
お前はかがり
It's not like it was
かが
obvious.
りなのか
Kana's eyes went wide. And then she passed out. Slowly collapsed. Not quickly, very slowly. Oh, and that's the end of that chapter. That was the Stray Sheep chapter.
どうだ少しは落ち着いたか。
はい、おかげさまで。
Kana had passed out after hearing the name Kagari Shina from Suzuha, but with help from Lukako and the girls, she woke up 10 minutes later. But she still didn't look very good.
ルカ子、それにマユリ、すまないが、何か冷たいものを買ってきてくれないか。
え？
それから、額に貼る冷却シートのようなものもあると嬉しい。
I felt bad for Lukako, but I didn't want either of them hearing what we were about to discuss.
わかった。行こう、ルカ君。
あ、うん。
Lukako seemed interested in hearing about what was going on, but still, he went along with Mayuri. What happened next was the
カ
problem.
ナさん。
かがり、お前、今までどこで何をしていた？
Suzuha opened her mouth the second Mayuri and Lukako left. Her words were as sharp as the knife blade, and Kana looked
一
terrified.
体どういうつもりであの時？
待て鈴葉。彼女は記憶を失ってる。
なんだって？
I explained what had brought Kana here, but after reading my messages first. I'm about to reveal an important secret to new Nya Catface. Blush, oh yeah, or but I refuse. I'm gonna say but I refuse. I'm tired of Ferris's nonsense. Come on, just let me say it, Nya. Probably just more made up nonsense, right? It's really hard keeping up with all the stuff you say. Huh? You've changed, Okarin. You never go back to the old you? Will you never go back to being Kyoma, Nya? Sorry. Crying? Okay, well, we've definitely avoided that conversation.
記憶喪失。それじゃどこで何をしていたかも。
ああ。でも、その前に確かめなければならないことがある。
Whether or not she was really Kagari Shina.
カナさん。
はい。
さっきしていた話は覚えてるか？
はい。
どうする？続きはもう少し回復してからにするか？
いえ、大丈夫です。
She was clutching Arupa so hard that her fingertips had gone white. There was a light in her eyes as she looked up at Suzuha.
じゃあ、さっきの話を続けよう。鈴葉、お前が彼女をかがりだというその根拠は何だ？
そのウーパだよ。それはかがりが肌身離さず持ってたものなんだ。ママにもらったんだって。お守りだって。
ずっと大事にしてた。
Kana slowly opened her hand. Tiny old Upa was staring up at us with a silly look on its face. A present from her mom. A present from Mayuri.
カナさんはそのウーパだけが自分が持っていたものだって言っていたが、
はい。記憶をなくして倒れていた私がただ一つ手にしていたのがこのキーホルダーだったそうです。
倒れていた？
はい。
どのあたりで倒れていたんだ？
千葉の参道です。県境あたりの。近くのお寺の住職さんが偶然通りかかって見つけてもらったそうで、その後しばらくはその方のお寺でお世話になっていたんです。ですがお寺は修行の場でもあるので長く女性を置いておくこともできないと。
それでルカ子の家にというわけか。
はい。その住職さん、ルカ君のことを女の子だって思っていて、それで年の近い女の子のいる家なら私にとってもいいだろうって。
盲点だった。まさかこんな近くにいたなんて。
The guest that Lukiko had mentioned a few days ago was probably that priest, which means that Kana, no Kagari Shina, had been there the whole time, been searching blindly for her without any idea. She'd been there the whole time. If only I'd taken Lukiko's call, we wouldn't have had to go through all
それ
this.
でカナさん、君はカガリという名を聞いて何か思い出すことはないか？
正直を言うとよくわかりません。ただすごく懐かしい感じがします。それに
Kana's words cut off as she looked at
そ
Suzuha.
の先ほどの方、
まゆ姉さんのこと？
まゆ姉さん。
あの子は椎名真由里というんだ。
まゆりさん、あの方を見たときなぜだかすごく温かい気持ちになりました。
Even if she was Kagari Shina, who would only have known Mayuri after she'd grown up. But her appearance can't have changed that much, which meant that it would make sense that seeing her would stir some feelings within Kagari.
ねえ、それもう一度見せてもらってもいい？
はい。
Kagari handed the old oop over to Kana.
やっぱりこれ。
Wait. That's a typo. They got that wrong. Kagari and Kana are the same person. It should have been Kagari or Kana handed the Upa over to Suzuha. That's wrong.
かがりが持ってたものだよ。
では私はその椎名かがりという名前だったんでしょうか？
そうだな。まだ確証があるわけじゃないが、そう考えるのが妥当だと思う。
いや、間違いない。彼女はかがりだ。そのキーホルダーが何よりの証拠だよ。まゆ姉さんがかがりにあげたものなんだから。でもよりによって記憶喪失だなんて。
The keychain probably did belong to Kagari. She also could have been gifted it by Kagari Shina, or she could have picked it up off the ground. Of course, Suzuha said that the keychain was very important to Kagari. It's unlikely that she'd drop it or give it to someone. Which meant... Then the door opened and Mayuri poked her head through to see what was going on. It's like the saddest tutor we've ever
あ
had.
の、大丈夫ですか？
ああ、悪かったな、わざわざ。
いえ。
No, we got another Rhine. The drinks and cooling sheet were taken out of their plastic bags and put on the desk.
それで、その。
You really don't want to know, Nya? No need to think about it, Nya. Don't find out now, then when will you, Nya? Be true to your desires, Nya. What is going on? Oh, Corinne, you're toying with poor little Ferris, aren't you? You naughty boy. I don't even know what's going on. Lukiko waited a moment for her to take a sip of the drinks he'd brought, then spoke with the quavering voice.
かなさんはそのあまねさんの知り合いのかがりさんという方だったんでしょうか。
そうだな。そう考えるのが妥当だと思う。
そうですか。よかったです。名前だけでも分かって。ルカ君。
Kana, that is Kagari, smiled gently when she saw how relieved Lukiko was.
でもそれならあまねさんはかがりさんの本当のお家を知っているんでしょうか。いや、それは
鈴葉はかがりさんと子供の頃ご近所だったそうだ。でも12年前に引っ越してしまって、それからの行方がわからなかったらしい。そうだな。
そうなんだ。それで最近急に懐かしくなってオカリンおじさんに相談してたんだよ。
そういうわけだ。だから鈴葉にもかがりさんの家族のことやどこに住んでいたのかはわからないらしい。
そうなんですか。
That was the only answer I could come up with. We told Kagari that she was a time traveler from the year 2036 who'd come here 12 years ago. It would only confuse
あ
her.
とは彼女が記憶を取り戻してくれれば何がどうなっていたのか全てわかるはずなんだが。
She'd learned her name, met both Suzuha and Mayuri. Mayuri's presence alone had to be a big deal.
かがりさん？はい。かがりさんの上のお名前はなんていうのかな。さっきはよく聞こえなくて、だからよかったら教えてほしいな。その岡部さんたちのお話だとシーナと。わあ、じゃあマユシーと一緒だ。マユシーもね、シーナっていうの。シーナマユリ。シーナマユリさん。嬉しいな。マユシー、同じ名字の人に会ったの初めてだよ。そうなんですか。だからこれからよろしくお願いします。はい、こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
Mayuri was using her natural cheerfulness to try and open up to Kagari. If it worked, maybe she could bring back her memories.
ルカ君から聞いたんだけど、かがりさんは記憶喪失なの？はい。それって自分が誰かも忘れちゃうってことなんだよね。はい。そっか。きっと辛いこといっぱいだよね。だって自分の大好きな人のことも忘れちゃうんでしょ。それってすごく悲しいことだってマユシーは思うのです。だからね、うまく言えないけど、マユシーもお手伝いするから頑張ろうね。
Mayuri smiled. I could see Kagari's eyes well up with tears.
わあ、急に出しちゃったのかな。マユシー、何か変なこと言っちゃったかな。そうじゃないんです。ただマユリさんの言葉を聞いてなんだか嬉しくって。マ ユシーだけじゃなくオカリンもすずさんもルカくんもみんな同じ気持ちだよ。
うん、もちろんです。僕もできることがあれば何でもしますから。
ありがとうございます、ルカ君、まゆりさん。
I could leave Kagari to Mayuri and Lukiko. She'd be just fine. The question was what to do now.
ルカ子、頼みがあるんだが。
なんでしょう。
かがりさんはもう少しお前の家に置いてもらってもいいだろうか。
え？
その間に俺たちは彼女が今までどうしていたのかを調べようと思う。
はい、もちろんうちは構いません。
鈴葉もそれでいいか。
わかった。
Suzuha probably wasn't completely happy with that, but she nodded anyway. Her first priority now is getting back Kagari's memories.
それじゃあルカくんのお家に行けばかがりさんに会えるんだね。まゆしーも遊びに行っていい？
もちろんだよ。ね、かがりさん。
鈴葉もできるだけ顔を出してやってくれ。その方が記憶を取り戻すにはいいだろう。
オーキードーキー。そうだ、クリスマスパーティーができないから今ねお正月パーティーをしようかなって思ってるんだ。かがりさんにも手伝ってもらえると嬉しいな。
いいんですか、私なんかが。
もちろんだよ。ね、ルカくん。
一緒にパーティーしましょう。
Anytime you got three girls together, they'd start chatting like birds. The girls, although one of them was a guy, began to chatter away. I had my own work to do. First, I had to let Moeka know that we'd found her. Knowing Moeka, she'd respond almost immediately. We found Kakarishina. No way. Where? A friend who works at a shrine was taking care of her. She was found on a mountain path near the Chiba border. She's lost her memories from before then. She was that close? Wow. We've been looking for whoever is after her, but I can't find any info. Maybe a pretty big group. It would be a big help if you could keep it up. That was all I needed to do for Moeka. I was still interested in the group who'd been looking for Kagari. I also wanted to know what she was doing lying on a mountain path. What was she doing out there? And with only an Upa. She been running from
ルカ
someone?
子、ちょっといいか。
はい、なんでしょう。
かがりさんをなるべく神社の外に出さないでほしい。
どうしてですか？
理由は聞かないでくれ。頼む。
はい、わかりました。岡部さんがそう言うなら。
This music was pretty creepy. Didn't hurt to be careful. If there's nothing, then that was fine. Once Kagari got her memories back, I'd know for sure. Nobody knew when that would be, though. The day after Lukiko took Kagari to the lab, I took Mayuri to Yanabayashi Shrine. Through Akihabara was filled with the Christmas spirit.
あ、まゆりちゃん。それに岡部さんも。
Lukiko was smiling. He'd seen us before we could say anything. The smile was far too cute to belong to a man. Once again, I was forced to doubt his real gender.
ルカくん、かがりさんも。てってるー。
てってるーです。
あ、かがりさんすごい。
何がですか？
だってマユシーが「トゥットゥルー」って言っても最初はなかなかみんな「トゥッ トゥルーって返してくれないよ。
初めて会った相手にそれが挨拶なのだと理解しろというのも酷な話だな。
だからみんな何それっていうのに。
Mr. Angry J is raiding with a party of 4. Hello everyone, how is it going? I don't know if I have any mods, so let me give you a shout out myself. How is it going? What were you playing? Playing Pokemon X and Y, how was that? But yes, hello everyone, my name is Popeye. We're playing some Steins Gate Zero. I guess before we get into it, I just want to say this game has some fairly mature themes that are not for everyone, and if that's not for you and you want to dip and find somewhere else to be, that's totally cool. But it has some mature themes such as murder, death, dismemberment, gore, assault, rape, any of those things against a minor. If that's not for you, I will take no offense in you leaving here, but those are your trigger warnings for this game. But yes, hello, how is everyone doing, and thank you for the follow, Mr. Angry J. But yeah, I guess the gist of this game, we're playing a man named Okabe. He is a university student who had accidentally invented time travel and messed up some stuff, and he's kind of dealing with the consequences now, both the physical and the mental and emotional consequences of that. And currently what we're doing is someone who came from the future came with this girl in the middle whose name is Kagari, and she's been missing for about 12 years, and we just found her. But of course she has amnesia, so we don't know anything that's happened in the past 12 years to her. So we're trying to figure that out. Maybe Mayuri's strange greeting had embedded itself in some part of Kagari's mind. Which meant that even 25 years from now, Mayuri was still saying Tutaru? Well, knowing Mayuri, we got a text message from Suzuha about Kagari. We can say, there's something bothering you, or did you find a way to get her memories back, or you worried about her? I think we're gonna go with this one. I'm honestly a little relieved that Kagari lost her memories. I'm scared that they might come back. I'm sure she hates me. But you still want them to come back anyway, right? Yeah, I guess. Dwelling on the past won't help. Just kind of bothers me. Sorry, don't tell anyone about this. Got it. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
岡部さんもトゥトゥルーです。
どうも。
I still didn't know how to deal with her. She'd been 10 years old and she was separated from Suzuha. That was 12 years ago. She should be 22 now. That meant she was older than me, but she was also Mayuri's adopted daughter. That would make her like Suzuha, who was Daru's daughter. Suzuha was at least the same age as me and Daru, so I didn't need to worry about being polite to my elders, but...
そうだ。今日はクリスマスイブだよ。メリークリスマス。
そういえばそうだったね。メリークリスマス。
メリークリスマスです。
Was it okay to celebrate Christmas at a shrine?
ところで、かがりさん、調子はどうかな？
悪くはないです。でもまだ何も。
いや、記憶に関しては無理して思い出そうとする必要はないよ。時間が来れば戻るだろう。それくらいの気でいた方が。
Hello, Avier. How's it going? Here is your hydrate, friend.
わかりました。
Of course, she probably wanted to remember them faster than that. Yeah, no worries, Mr. Angry Jay. I totally get it. No worries, Avier. Twitch be weird like that sometimes.
どうかしたか？
いえ、ルカ君もまゆりちゃんも、それに岡部さんもみんな優しいな。
And even then, Avier, like you don't have to show in every stream, or you can be like me. I literally have notifications on for no one. Because when I feel like watching Twitch, I just open it and see who's on and what interests me. Like there's a couple exceptions which are just people I mod for, and that's about it. Other than that, and I don't even have notifications on for them. I just know when their stream schedules are.
そんな俺は別に優しくなんてない。
照れなくてもいいのに。
She'd been so depressed when we'd first met that was the first time I'd seen her smile. Her smile was somehow childish and seemed a lot younger than I'd been told she was.
ごめんなさい。私ったら急に慣れ慣れしい感じになっちゃって。
いや、構わないよ。こっちだってタメ口で喋ってるんだし。
そうだよ。まゆしーもね、普通に喋ってくれた方が嬉しいな。だってその方がお友達って感じがするでしょ。
お友達。
うん、お友達。
ありがとう、まゆりちゃん。お友達か。
Maybe this was how the future Mayuri became close to her as well. A war orphan. That's what Suzu had said about Kagari. And all of that was... it was my fault, wasn't it? If I did what Suzuha wanted, would her life change? But for that to happen, I'd have to once again...
岡部さん、大丈夫ですか？なんだか顔色が優れないみたいですけど。
ああ、なんでもない。ちょっと寝不足なだけだ。
そうですか。だったらいいんですけど。
それよりルカ子は何をしていたんだ？忙しそうにしていたみたいだが。
本殿のお掃除をしていたんです。
掃除ならいつもやってるんじゃないのか？
I felt like every time I came here, Luke had a broom in his
今日は
hands.
普段できないようなところも含めての大掃除なんです。
ああ、そうか。もうすぐ正月だしな。
New Year's was a big deal for a
すす
shrine.
払いは先日やったんですが、まだやり残しているところもあるので、かがりさんにも手伝ってもらっていたんです。
ただお世話になってるだけなのも気が引けるもん。少しくらいは役に立たないと。
Lukuko and Kagari seemed to be getting along just
お
fine.
やルカ、お客さんかな。
あ、お父さん。
Lukuko's father was poking his head out from behind the shrine. He had the look of a saint, but I knew he had some bad habits. Mostly of the same type as Daru had. Dressing up Lukuko in shrine priestess's clothes and having him help around the shrine was all his idea.
おや、これは岡部君にまゆりちゃん。
And apparently he's so tall they can't fit his head in frame.
メリークリスマスです。
Wait, aren't you not allowed to say that?
おや、どうかしたかい岡部君。
いえ。
Well, if it didn't bother them, I guess it was fine. More importantly, I need to thank them for what they were doing for Kagari.
実は彼女のことなんですが。
かがりさんというそうだね。ルカから聞いたよ。まさか君たちが知っている人だったとは。世間は狭いね。
はい。それでもう少しの間お宅でお世話になることができればありがたいんですが。
何か理由があるようだね。もちろんうちとしては大歓迎だよ。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます、おじさん。
はは、いいんだよ。私も新しく娘ができたみたいで嬉しいからね。
できたみたいって、お父さん、お姉ちゃんがいるじゃないですか。
あの子はちっとも家に帰ってきてくれないじゃないか。私が寂しがっているのを知っていて、そういう意地悪をするんだ。そうだ、いいことを考えたよ。せっかくこれだけ女の子がいるんだから、お正月には神社を手伝ってもらうというのはどうだろう。
手伝うって巫女ですか？
もちろん。かがりちゃんにもまいりちゃんにもちゃんと巫女装束を着てもらってね。どうかな？バイト代は出すよ。
でもそんなの2人に悪いですし。
あら、私なら大丈夫よ、ルカ君。お世話になってるんだもん。それくらいしなきゃ。
本当かい？
マユシーはお正月はパーティーの準備をしなきゃいけないので、それにコスプレ衣装を作るのは好きだけど、自分で着るのは。
Mayuri, a shrine priestess outfit actually isn't cosplay, you know.
そうか。まゆりちゃんの巫女姿、岡部君も見たいんじゃないのかい？
Don't put this on us, man. Why is he asking me?
そうなの？オカリン。
I mean, if Daru was here, that's who you'd be siding with.
とぼけても無駄だよ。ちゃんと顔に書いてある。
No way. If I were to look in a mirror right now, definitely would not see it written on my face. We have this magical thing called a cell phone with a camera. I'm sure we could look at our face if the game would let us.
オカリンがそう言うなら。
そうか。それは
He
よかっ
said
た。
nothing.
よし、そうと決まれば巫女装束をもっと用意しなければいけないな。母さん。
Must have been afraid that Mayuri and Kagari were going to change their minds because he quickly ran behind the shrine. Seriously couldn't let your guard down around that man.
ごめんなさい。
ルカ君が謝ることないよ。
でもせっかく楽しみにしてたお正月のパーティーが。
それはここのお手伝いが終わった後でもできるから平気だよ。
そうだね。僕も手伝うから何でも言ってね。
ありがとう、ルカ君。
でも巫女さんの格好なんて私に似合うかな？
大丈夫、絶対に似合うよ。
そうかな？
マユシーはね、子供たちのコスプレの衣装とかたくさん作ってるからわかるの。
そう言ってもらえるなら頑張ってみるね。
Since I'd asked him to keep Kagari from leaving the shrine, probably needed something like this to relax. Maybe that was why Lukako's father had asked her. No. No way. Either way, it was going to be a busy New
それ
Year's.
じゃあ俺はこれで。
もう帰られるんですか？僕お茶もお出しせずに。
かがりさんの様子を見に来ただけだからな。
オカリン、マユシーは。
わかってる。もう少し正月の話をするんだろ。俺はラボに戻ってるから。
ありがとう、岡部さん。
She bowed her head a little and smiled innocently. She still had her memories as a war orphan. Would she be able to smile like that? Come to think of it, what would she, Yajo, be doing on New Year's? You'd said that New Year's was a time for partying with your friends, but it didn't seem like she had any friends to party with.
だから何度言ったらわかるのよ。
And here she is. I heard a voice I thought I recognized. It was Hyajo herself. She was yelling at a police officer, which meant...
証明するものってちょっと待って今
ヒヤジョーさん、
岡部さんいいところにちょっとお願いがあるんだけど
おまわりさん、彼女はれっきとした大人の女性です。間違いありません。
君は知り合い？
はい、大学の先輩にあたります。
Didn't feel like explaining the whole thing. She wouldn't mind if I told a little lie like that,
大
probably.
学。
東京電機大学です。なんなら調べてもらってもいいですけど。
ああ、いや、そこまでは。でも、そう。小学生じゃ。
In elementary school. The policeman left, shaking his head. I swear, every time people just think she's even
名前くら
younger.
いしたらどうなのよほんと訴えてやろうかしら
まあまあ、それだけ仕事熱心ってことじゃないかな。
あなたもあなたよ岡部さん
俺？
一見しただけで私が子供に間違われて補導されそうになってるって分かったんでしょ一目で分かるなんてあなたもそう思ってるって証拠だわ
それは。
Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut.
まあでも助けてくれたことには感謝するわありがとう
いや、
Just said so to begin with, then. Come to think of it, Chris was the same way. We're all genius scientists like this.
それでヒヤジョーさんはこんなところで何を？
これよこれ
Showed me a big bag. Well, no, it just looked big because Ma was holding it. It actually wasn't very big at all.
例のノートパソコンここならパスを解析できる業者がいるかなって思ったんだけど
Evidently, she was holding Chrissy's
まだ
laptop.
それにこだわっていたのか。
そりゃあプライベートを覗くのは良くないって思うわでも私はあの子が何を考えて何をやろうとしていたのか知りたいのよあなたはいいわよあの子が亡くなる前に会って話したりしてるんだもの
Not in this world line, I didn't.
でも私にはまだ実感がないの急に亡くなったって連絡を
Hello,
受けただ
Death
け
Bellows. How are you doing?
葬儀にも出られなかっただから少しでもクリスのことを知りたい今さらって思うかもしれないけどそれが私の中でのあの子の死に対する折り合いのつけ方なのよ
ヒヤジョーさん。
だから岡部さん教えて何でもいいのあの子がパスワードとして設定しそうな言葉一つや二つ心当たりあるでしょ
I mean, that's what you're doing, but how are you doing? I knew how she felt, and I knew she wanted a way to cope, because I still hadn't come to grips with it myself. But still,
悪いけど知らないよ。
岡部さん
すまない。
そうやって逃げるの
逃げる？
アマデウスとコミュニケーションを取らなくなったのも逃げてるからでしょ
She was right. I had run away. I had run away from a chain of tragedy that had repeated itself hundreds, no thousands of times. Fair enough. The result of that running away was who I was today.
クリスったらすっごい文句言ってたわよ
Yeah, but yeah, I feel you. It's that
岡
kind
部
of
さん
thing
は冷たいって
where if someone asks you, like, how you're doing, even if I'd had, like, a bad day, with most people I wouldn't say that. I'd say, like, okay. Like, very few people, and I'd have to probably know them fairly well to be like, you know what, today actually sucks. And even then, like you said, it's not like much would change. I could imagine. Knowing her, she'd probably said all kinds of things about me. but
そうだ。冷たいんだよ。俺は。
I'd abandoned her.
岡部さん。
My attitude must have affected her because Maho had fallen silent. No, so I have an endings guide which I'm following. We haven't gotten any endings yet, though. But the plan is to do all the endings. That being said, it's like a first playthrough for me, but I have seen the anime. When did that come out? I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. So remember bits and pieces, but there's lots of pieces that will be missing, and I'm sure lots of pieces that were left out of the adaptation. I realized too late that I'd made a mistake. I didn't need to put it like that.
すまない。
うん。
This was really awkward. I needed something to change the subject.
そうだ、ヒアジョーさん。正月は何か予定あるのか？
いえ、今のところは何もないけど。
だったら初詣にみんなで柳林神社に行かないか？まゆりたちも手伝うことになってるんだ。
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing we had with I've also been playing through Higurashi, which is another visual novel turned anime, and it is my personal favorite anime of all time, but just in terms of playing it through, it's at least, I think, 100 hours of gameplay and squeezed into 24 hours of anime. Like, it just can't be done. You're cropping out a quarter, you're dropping it down to a quarter of the content. You have to make big cuts on that.
まゆり？
Oh, right. Mayuri wasn't there when she visited the lab. And the other thing is in visual novels like this, you have that internal dialogue, which is kind of awkward to just have, like, in an anime where, sometimes you'll have it a little bit, but it's awkward to have it at the same level of content that a visual novel has.
俺の幼馴染なんだ。ラボの一員でもある。
幼なじみ。
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I think there's parts I like about both of them, but the visual novel is definitely preferred. I haven't finished it yet. We've done chapters 1 through 5 on stream. And yeah, there's so much that just gets chopped out in the anime. But yeah, like, some people don't have the luxury of spending 100 hours going through it, or the money to buy it, or, like, there's a bunch of reasons.
ああ。その後でラボでパーティーもやるらしい。なんならヒアジョーさんも巫女装束を着て神社を手伝ってもらってもいい。
巫女装束。それってコスプレとかいうやつ？
いや、ちゃんとした手伝いだからコスプレにはならないと思う。
そう。でもそれはやめとくわ。
Yep, I totally
私
understand.
に合うサイズもないだろうし。
I've always felt like it's the same thing when people are like dubs versus subs, like, whatever. However you want to watch it, like, however you're gonna watch it is probably the best way to watch it for you. I don't really care. If you want to watch subs because you want the original voice actors, fine. If you want to watch dubs because it's easier for you to keep up with, or you're I don't know, doing the dishes at the same time and you can't, like, read, and you just need to be able to hear it at the same time, whatever. Like, however you're going to enjoy it is the way you should watch it. That's how I feel about it. He was probably right, actually. He might have had some of Lukiko's old clothes from his childhood. It seemed like a bad idea to mention that.
ちょっとそこで納得しないでくれる？
すまない。
で、集合はラボでいいの？何時に行けばいい？
え、でも
手伝うのはパスだけど、日本の初詣には行ってみたいと思ってたの。 その後のパーティーはまあその時考えるわ。
That made sense. She met Mayuri, and they didn't get along. There's probably no need to go to a party with her.
わかった。じゃあ細かいことはまた連絡するよ。
ええ、楽しみにしてるわ。
Time between then and New Year's flew by. Parties and drinking at school, and that was over. Kamima. Of course, all I did for that was watch Daru and Mayuri run around. Apparently this guy never studies or writes his exams. And then it was January 1st, 2011. Some anime prefer the dub. It's like anime adaptation of visual novel, you go with the sub. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, my personal preference, and I'm not going to force this on anyone else, is, and this doesn't even just apply to anime, but in, I guess, media in general, I try to play with the original voice cast, just because I feel like it's what the director of that media, like, that was their rendition of it, how they wanted to portray it, and I want to try and, like, honor how they put forth this media. That being said, I know that's not possible for everyone, and in some situations, people can do a pretty bang-up job doing their own version of it. So yeah. Nothing against anyone who watches a media in any way, shape, or form. It's all up to your personal preference.
これで全員揃ったか？
じゃあ今から点呼取るよ。アマネシ。
Are we taking attendance? We're not 5. This isn't homeroom.
魔法タン。
だからその呼び方やめてって言ってるでしょ。
楓氏。はい。吹雪氏。はいはい。であとは。
私です。
ナイ様。
Please punch Daru. Please, someone needs to do it.
なおかりん、なんでブラウン氏まで行くことになってんの？
俺だって知らない。マユリが苗を誘ったらついてきた。
Cause I mean, you invited his daughter, who's what, like 10, to a party with a bunch of college kids. As a responsible parent, being there is probably a good thing.
おい、何ひそひそ話してやがる。
いえ、何も。
お父さん、私ね、まゆりお姉ちゃんの巫女さん姿、すごく楽しみなんだ。
そうだな、すまないな。本当ならお父さんが連れてってやりたかったんだが。
その天王寺さんは来られないん
Yes,
ですか？
we completed the first Steins Gate with all endings. I think we finished that in December, and that took, geez, that probably took us, I don't know, 6 to 8 months to play through. But yeah, we played through that all endings, and we're going to play through Steins Gate 0 all endings.
当たり前だ。何を好き好んで俺がおめえらと初詣せねえならん。俺はちょっと休養で出かけなきゃいけなくなっちまったから、おめえらに苗を預ける。
Yep, that is perfectly fair. That scene with her near the end is entirely creepy.
ちゃんと面倒見ないと家賃あげっからな。
When we heard that, Dara and I both let out a sigh of relief, even though he was still right there. I, in particular, was trying to avoid Tenoji as much as I possibly could. His ostensible job was running his strange brawn tube workshop, but he was actually the leader of the Rounders. He worked for CERN. My heart wasn't strong enough to deal with him knowing that. But we can still deal with the child, apparently, knowing what happens with her. The only reason I didn't leave the building altogether was that Mayuri and Daru had opposed it. There was also the hope that if something did happen, I'd be able to learn something about the Rounders' movements. still. I hadn't come back to the lab for a long time.
ダメだよお父さん、そんな言い方し
Yeah. Yeah. This game I think had, or the original Steins Gate had a pretty solid plotline. I love games that are built around characters. Like, I'm not the type of person who plays a game that has like a lot of action, or that's like I don't play games to feel challenged, if that makes sense. Like, I don't really care about speed runs or 100%ing a game unless doing that unlocks like more backstory about characters, more plot points, anything like that. Then I try to go for it. And I think they did a pretty bang up job with the first game.
おお、そうだったな。さすが苗はいい子だな。
I didn't even realize that either. Yeah. Wow. I hadn't thought of that either.
おかりんおじさん、お願いします。
Yeah, they have some interesting Easter eggs. The other one is near the end of the game when he gets the email from himself in the future. That email exists, and if you send it an email, like in real life, it will give you a response message that says, "Sorry, this email account is not available in this world line." And I think that's amazing.
Oh.
You do have to check your spam. It did come through in spam for me on the reply. Yeah, look it up. Steins Gate email. It's pretty cool. You send an email and it just has an automated reply. It's in Japanese, of course. But if you pop it into Google Translate, the core of the message states that sorry, this I can't remember if it's this person or this email account is not available on this world line. Yeah, so they've got some pretty cool Easter eggs. Naya didn't seem as scared of me, probably because I'd stopped treating her like a small, cute animal. We're still a bit scared of her, though.
よろしくな。
わかりました。
うん。
まだ何か。
いや、やっぱりおめえ随分と変わっちまったよな。前は法だとかなんとか妙なことばっか言ってたのにな。どうにも調子が狂っちまうぜ。
おかげさまで。
I can't remember how we came across that. I think the email address at the end, it's got like it's a bunch of letters and then a number and then whatever it is at something.jp. And we were trying to figure out what it stood for, because we thought it stood for like certain characters' initials, similar to how the pin was. There was a year on it that we thought was just associated with the year. And there were other letters that we couldn't figure out what it was, so I googled it and found out it was an actual email address you could hit.
大人にね。ま、とにかく苗を頼んだぜ。
Everyone in the room, except for Nae, let out a big sigh of relief the minute Tanoji left.
とにかくこれで全員だな。
Ibuki, Kaide, Yuki, Maho, and Nae. It was a strange group. And of course, no one cared about Daru, and we were all going to the Yanabayashi Shrine.
本当に良かったの？私なんかが来てしまって。
気にしなくていい。こっちこそなんだかよくわからない集まりになってしまったけど、大丈夫かな？
馴染んだって言ったら嘘になるわね。でも初詣ってちょっと興味もあったし、それに同年代の知り合いが増えるのも嬉しいわ。
そう言ってもらえると助かるよ。
Maho was probably feeling a little left out. That would solve itself with time.
マユシーのコスプレ超楽しみ。もうふぶきちゃんたらコスプレじゃなくて今日はあくまでも清掃だよ。 鈴葉さんの巫女装束も楽しみですね、橋田さん。
まあね、妹属性の巫女さんつうのも悪くない。つうか、どうせならそこにナース属性も追加してくれれば萌えの数え役満なのだが。
We just don't talk about Daru. He's like that one uncle that we just don't talk about.
橋田さんは相変わらず変態さんですね。
And everyone's just like, ah, you're such a pervert. Oh, stop it. But no one really says anything about it. In the end, instead of just Mayuri helping at the shrine, Suzuha and Ferris had gone too. Ferris I could understand, but I certainly hadn't expected Suzuha to go. Also in the tutorial, the Nakabayashi conference before Okabe sends the first email, he contemplates about seeing Kursu. He shouldn't feel guilty. It's not like I killed her. Yeah, he does have that moment, and there's that great foreshadowing of it. She was probably worried about Kagari. There was also another reason, she said. She'd heard that she'd get paid. Valid. Suzu had enough money with her to get by in this time period, but since it wasn't her own money, she preferred not to spend it on living expenses. She'd rather make her own money instead. That was something that had always impressed me.
そうそう、大事なことを忘れてました。
大事なこと？
新年明けましておめでとうございます。ああ、そっか。昨日までコミマだったからまだ年明けたって気がしないんだよね。それじゃあ私たちも改めて。
Yeah, there was a similar one. There's a similar thing that happens in Persona 5 that I missed, that my brother caught. Where, like, at the time playing it, I had that, like, feeling of, like, something's, like, weird here, but, like, I never figured out what it was. And then later my brother told me, and he's like, oh, this thing was complete foreshadowing. And I'm like, oh, I missed it.
明けましておめでとうございます。これでよしと。
じゃあ挨拶も済ませたことだし、そろそろ行くか。
いざ行かん、ミコミコパラダイス。
橋田さん、神社にパラダイスはないと思いますよ。
あ、そっか。
We all headed to Yanabayashi Shrine, laughing and talking as we went. To be honest, Akihabara on New Year's wasn't that much different than any other time of year. The stores were open, there were lots of customers seeking New Year's bargains. The only difference was, there were fewer cars.
ねえねえ、ダルおじさん。
Yeah, reading between the lines is, it's pretty hard. A lot of times I'll miss stuff, like unless it's something that I guess I'm like looking for or that I have experience with. When we were playing Higurashi in chapter 3, the one about Sadako, I had done a bunch of training on noticing, because I used to work with children, so one of the things I had to do was be trained on noticing child abuse situations. And that game has probably the best, like, description and just, like, things Sadako does are textbook examples of what someone going through child abuse would act like, and they did their homework on that one, and I was thoroughly impressed with it. Like, even if that wasn't part of the plot, if we didn't know at that point in time, seeing that, like, yeah. Yeah, Chapter 3 is pretty difficult to read. Like, a lot of Higurashi's pretty difficult to read, but that one I think hits a lot differently for a lot of people, just with the underlying themes in it.
おじさんは紳士なの？
そうだよ。 おじさんは変態だけど紳士なのだぜ。
So far, my favorite has been Chapter 5, because of... there's just so much depth, I think, between Shion and Mion that I'm so pissed was left out of the anime. But also, it is the first chapter that I felt has really used music as a way of just a lot of different things. It uses music for foreshadowing. It uses music for saying what characters are thinking without actually putting it on the screen. There's so much that went into the sound design of that one that it impressed me quite a bit.
橋田さんはどうしてなえちゃんのことを様付けで呼ぶんですか？
幼女はその存在だけで敬われるべきだからです。キリ！
See, Dara, that sentence alone sounds fine. But with everything else I know about you, it is quite wrong. They looked like a family walking together. Yeah. After playing that, I had to go back and watch all the torture scenes from the anime. Because I was like, okay, when I watched the anime, I was... that was about 10 years ago, man. So I was like, okay, I was 18 at the time. Sure, it's gory, sure, it's scary. Is it that bad if I watch it again now? It's just as bad. And there's just so many goods. I recently watched a video on YouTube, and basically they were just talking about Higurashi in general, and I think it was related to... Oh, it was a video. The person on YouTube, if you want to look them up, is called Best Sonozaki, Bess, and then Sonozaki, same last name as Mion and Shion. And it was about the different adaptations of Higurashi. And they were like, no matter what you do, at some point, if you're going through this medium, you have to listen to the audio of Mion and Shion from Chapter 5 when they're in the dungeon, because it is the best... It's the best sound clips of the entire series. And so far, I think I have to agree with them.
そういえば、ふぶきちゃん、この前言っていた変な夢はどう？あれ？最近はあんまり見なくなったかも。やっぱ疲れてたみたい。そっか。だったらいいんだけど。
変な夢？
ちょっと一時期悪夢にうなされちゃった時期があって。
悪夢って？
お？食いつきますね。ひょっとして私に気があるとか。ダメよ、ふぶきちゃん。オカリンさんには好きな人がいるんだから。
Yeah, I'm with you on there. Like the gore, it's whatever. Like, it definitely adds to it, but I'm not out to go watch a gore fest. I definitely more prefer the psychological horror as opposed to like other types of horror. But yeah.
そうか。
何の話だ？
オカリンさんには好きな人がいるって話。
俺に
？Yep. Yeah, your brain can make up a lot worse things. Ooh, oh, I didn't read what that last one was out loud. Who told them that? Mayuri, maybe?
俺には好きな人なんていないよ。
そうなんですか？本当に？
本当だって。
Yeah, like I've tried watching horror stuff. My fiance, she's really into horror stuff, and she loves horror games and that kind of stuff. So I'll play all the horror games she wants to, because they don't really scare me, like jump scares or whatever. We had a coworker, and we were watching them play Little Nightmares 2 right after it came out, and they were just streaming it on Discord for us to watch. And like, I would call the jump scares. I'm like, okay, in a couple seconds this thing's gonna do this, and just I don't find it fun because I see it coming and it's not scary to me. Yes, the tour through the storehouse. Combine that with Shion's experience in the storehouse in chapter 5. Like, it was interesting to me to see how like both the characters had such different experiences in that tour of the storehouse, and they just both get entirely freaked out from it. But it's still, I guess, open enough that you're filling in the blanks of what's there. Like, what tools, what instruments would you put there in your head if you're filling that in? And that's the scariest part, is what can you come up with. I don't know if I read this out loud, so I'm just going to read it anyways. Mayuri talked about them a lot, but thinking back, this is probably the first real conversation I had with them. Still, they were easy to talk to. For plot reasons, mainly.
2人とも頼みがあるんだが、できればヒアジョーさんに話しかけてやってもらえないか。
え？
彼女、アメリカの大学から来てるんだけど、まだあんまりこっちに知り合いいないから。
アメリカ？すごい！
So I'm actually trying to think now, if I was inside... On a lighter note, who's the best girl in Steins Gate 0 so far? Okay, who's the best girl in this one? I am a fan of Maho. I feel like we haven't spent enough time with Mayuri's friends yet. Like, I know we've spent a bit of time with them, but we don't really know them a whole lot. I would go with Maho so far. I don't know if that's going to be my final answer, but that's who I'm going to say so far. She is also probably the one who's had the most screen time, which probably helps in that decision. Instead of answering, Nakase gave a cry of surprise and went over to Maho, who'd been walking ahead of the group.
ねえ、真帆さんってアメリカの大学に通ってるんですか？
ええ、まあそうだけど。
It's a reasonable choice. I'm glad you approve of it.
じゃあ英語ペラペラなんですか？
まあ生まれも生活もずっと向こうだから。
すごい！
That should probably help her open up a little. I do probably of the minor characters we've had so far, Kaide is probably one of my favorites. Just, I guess, her friendliness and her ability to help her friends, especially when who was the girl just there, Fubuki, with the nightmares, and just her ability to help her out was really, I think, was really nice, and just true friendship, and I appreciate that.
そんなことないよ。
Maho had told me the exact opposite just a few days
で
ago.
も人って優しいからこそ誰かを傷つけることもあるんですよね。
は？
Yep. Yeah, no worries.
いえ、何でもありません。私も真帆さんと話してきますね。
Kuroshima jogged to catch up with the other girls, leaving behind a faint smell of perfume. Hurt someone. The words stuck in my chest like needles for a little while. Yanabayashi wasn't as busy as Kanda Shrine. It was still a lot busier than I'd expected. It's never good when the music stops. That's because Ferris has arrived, and Ferris is one of my least favorite characters.
明けましておめでとうございます。
Suzuha looks royally pissed. Must be getting less money than she thought. At this point, didn't even need to be said that Lukako looked great in a shrine priestess's uniform. Ferris, for her part, still had her cat ears on. Her outfit was much simpler than the usual maid uniform. I was sure her fans would love it, though. Daru, Yuki, and the others exchanged New Year's greetings as well. The oven mitt setup. Yeah, the oven mitts are weird. I'm also really pissed off at Daru's changed character art. He looks so much worse. I don't know who thought changing it would be good. It's almost like they reduced him to just more of a trope of just being a pervert. Like that's it. It looks like they reduced him to that trope. At least before he was like he was still an awful character, but at least he was like half trope, half giving reasonable conversations about scientific topics.
ゆきさんも来てくれたんだ。明けましておめでとう、鈴葉さん。明けましておめでとうございます。
Suzuha always wore casual, light clothes, but this was pretty good too. If nothing else, it made it impossible to imagine her as Daru's daughter. If only she'd smile, this would be perfect. No, we didn't let you bring the nurse's outfit.
そんなことばっかり言ってるから母さんに誤解されるんだ。誤解？なゆ姉さんから聞いたんだよ。母さん、自分が父さんからあまり好かれてないと思い込んでる。
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I think I preferred the dirty version.
なんでそうなる？僕は鈴葉はもちろんアマネ氏もフェイリスタンもルカ氏も親の子はみんな平等で好きなのに。
だからそういうのがダメなんだって。二人ともさっきから何を？なんでもない。それよりほら、おみきとあとおみくじもあるからどうかな。
Okay. Omiki, holy sake that is offered to the gods, and since they're not explaining it, sake is a rice wine. And it comes in a wide variety of flavors and makes and just even like textures. It has interesting like textural differences. It can be like chocolate flavored. It's interesting. I prefer the more fruity tones personally. Suzuha was right. If Daru didn't cut back a little, she might never be born. I'd have to talk to him about it later.
それにしてもルカ君は相変わらず美人さんね。いえ、そんな。ほんとこれで男の子だなんて信じらんないよね。え？嘘。あなた男の子なの？はい。嘘でしょ。日本ってやっぱり進んでるのね。
Yeah, and I think in a game like this, there's yes, yeah, I know what you mean. I think just also knowing the type of game this is, having that, I guess, like dirty, darker kind of look, I personally feel fits in better with the themes of this anime and game, of course.
何かね？まゆりお姉ちゃんはどこですか？まゆし？確かさっきまであっちでおみきを。あそこにいたにゃ。まゆし！こっちに来るにゃ。オカリンたちが来てるにゃ。
Mayuri must not have realized we were here because she came running over with Kagari in tow.
オカリン。
You look so much more like a child in this picture.
おめでとうございます。明けましておめでとうございます。岡部さん。
あ
Yeah, I do like Luca's new art. I agree with you on that. Some, like, Suzuha I don't think really changed a whole lot. Like, I guess it's a bit brighter, it doesn't have that darker, dirty kind of look, but I don't feel that really changed a whole lot for her. In fact, it might... I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like it a little bit more, because I think it kind of goes to show more of Suzuha's determination in this one to try and make everything happen after Okabe's like, nah, I'm out, sorry. No, maybe they'd want to switch filters partway through, or like have it like gradually change. I don't know. Yeah, this is also true. It is a different Suzu. Now I'm thinking maybe it would be better to like have these filters like change or apply in certain scenarios, or gradually lift or lower depending on where you are in the game or what world line you're on. Like, just imagine if in the original world line they didn't have the filter that made Mayuri look dark and dirty, but then in the beta world line she has it because it's like the mark of death on her. Like, you could have some good play with stuff like that. Facial expression went from tense to relieved.
イベントでなんかじゃコスプレするんだろ？今更緊張することもないだろうに。
あれはお仕事だからいいのです。
I didn't understand how it could be okay to do it at work, not okay to do it when you weren't at work. She was getting paid for this, so wasn't this work too?
ねえ、岡部さん、私はどうかな？似合ってるかな？
ああ、かがりさんもすごく似合ってると思う。
そうだ、後で一緒に写真撮ってくださいね。
写真？いいけど。
だってほら、写真があれば記録に残るでしょ。私、今のうちにたくさん残しておきたいんです。また忘れちゃったりしないように。
She wasn't just happy because it was New Year's. Over the past few days, she'd gotten a lot more cheerful. At the time, she'd seemed scared because of her lost memories. This was probably just who she was. As she gotten ready for New Year's with Mayuri and Lukako, it started to become her real self again, little by little.
やっぱりまゆりちゃん、似合ってる。そうかな。なんだか恥ずかしいよ。そんなこと言って、まんざらでもないくせに。あ、こちらがこの前言ってた。かがりです。椎名かがり。本当だ。まゆしーと同じ名前なんですね。
Yeah, like, just thinking about it now, I would have really loved if they had done stuff like that. Yeah, I know there's something, and I won't go into spoilers for this because we haven't played Higurashi Chapter 6 yet on stream, but I know that they do have something in that game where there's a filter that changes throughout the game. That's like a little Easter egg if you're looking for it. It wasn't actually a coincidence, though.
かがりさんもスタイルいいし、コスとか似合いそう。
Oh, hello. Goodbye.
私も思った。コス？コスプレ。ねえ、好きなキャラとかいるんですか？私、そういうのはちょっとよくわからなくて。ふぶきちゃん。 ごめんなさい。あ、気にしないで。大丈夫だから。
Yes, that bot no longer exists in this world line. It was not in the choice of Steins Gate to allow them to be here.
ねえ、オカリンもこっちに来て。マユシーがお祓いをしてあげるのです。このなんだっけ、大ヌサだよ、まゆりちゃん。
Onusa, a tool used in Shinto religious rites, made by placing a string of paper streamers on the end of a branch from a sakaki tree. It is said by waving it at a person, the impurities they possess are transmitted from them into the Onusa.
そうそう、大ヌサ。
そのためにはまず神様に手を合
Yeah,
わせて
you can see it. It's probably most prominent. I'm around Mayuri right now, but if you look at like Kagari as well, Suzu has the least. But yeah, they have this white glow. Like I think it's supposed to try and separate them from the background and kind of portray this like upbeat kind of feel, but it looks, I don't know. I don't quite like it.
あ、そうだね。それじゃあその後で。
It makes it look too much like you just place stickers on top of a background. Which is exactly how you animate a visual novel, but I don't want to be reminded of that fact.
あ、よろしく頼むよ。
I washed my hands in the water and prayed at the shrine. Come to think of it, this might have been the first time I'd done this here.
何をお願いしたの？
ああ、世界が平和でありますようにってね。
またそうやってはぐらかすんだから。
You also know that world peace isn't going to happen because World War III is coming very soon. It was true, though. Of course, I knew it was going to come true, and that wishing wouldn't make it better.
そういえば遅いわね。教授たち、初詣に行くって言ったらすごく来たがってたから場所を教えておいたんだけど。
どこかで迷ってるのかな。
レイエス教授も一緒だからどこか寄り道してるのかもね。
Once they got here, it was probably going to get even busier.
ねえ、あの子でしょ？
何がだ？
岡部さんの彼女。あのまゆりさんって人なんでしょ？
まゆりはそんなんじゃない。
嘘？じゃあどの子？
誰も違うよ。俺には彼女なんていない。
本当に？これだけ可愛い女の子がたくさんいるのに？岡部さんってもしかして？ああ、でも大丈夫よ。私そういうのに偏見ないから。
I think my personal favorite character sprite is Maho's like kind of sullen, depressed look, where she's just like leaning over to the side, like. Also, we talked about this at a previous. I can't open it. We talked about this on a previous stream, but the weirdest thing to me in this game is, so you've got the Rhine app, whatever, that Daru made, which is fine. It has stickers in it, and one of those stickers is of Christina, and I'm just imagining him being like to Daru, hey, you guys don't know this girl, and she just died in this tower the other day, but can we just make a sticker of her to send to all of our friends on her new phone app? Yes, this is very true, especially if something, like, even if it's just off by a couple of pixels. If you place Maho like this, and then in the next, like, the background change, and she's off slightly, or just, like, something about it is off, you notice it very quickly when it's just, still images. I finally figured out what she was trying to say.
違うよ。そういうのでもない。
そうなんだ。じゃあどうして？彼女を作らないの？
君、この前クリスに散々文句言ってたのに同じこと聞いてるぞ。
われてみれば自分のことだと嫌なのに人のことになると興味が出ちゃうのよね、人間って。これは反省が必要だわ。
オカリー、大仁田でシャンシャンってやってあげるから早く。
ちょっと行ってくるよ。
ええ、やっぱりクリスのことがあったからかしら。
I could hear a small whisper, but I pretended that I didn't. Yeah, like some of them make sense, like whatever. You got Daru, you got us, you got Ferris, and then it's like, who are these other people that aren't even lab members in this world line? No one's ever met them. Like, why? Why do they exist? And it's some of them are really creepy. Like, okay, random person, like, I don't know, maybe there's someone famous online, but no, like, the dead woman from the tower, just like, no. Like, how did you talk him into this? Zeus is in the clothing from the alpha? I'll have to look at that. I never even looked at that, but you most certainly might be right. What was supposed to be a short visit to the shrine ended up taking the whole day as we talked and took pictures. Oh, now we can take pictures on our phone. It wouldn't let me look at myself in a camera before.
ああいう衣装もなかなか肩が凝るね。
We saw Ferris and Sousa back in their usual clothes. Finally felt like things were back to normal.
マユシーたちはまだ着替え終わってないからもう少し待っててほしいって言ってたにゃ。
Yes, plot camera. It's also the same reason when anytime they're like, and I shut my phone off, I'm immediately like, oh, can I open my phone? Or you can make your phone dance. Oh, my other favorite part. So you're supposed to be taking your phone out of your pocket, right? So you see that you lift the phone up, and you can see that there's nothing at the bottom here if this is your phone. So you must be holding it like this, but like at the very top above the screen, so that you can't see the fingers like this. But then you can also see, you know, just like fade in. So clearly I just have telekinesis, and that's how my phone comes out of my pocket. And no one seems to care. Mayuri, Kagari, and Lukuko hadn't come out yet. The same reason I just can't call random people. Can't call any of you. Apparently my data and cell phone service is only related to plot reasons.
いや、それはまずいだろう。
やん、ルカ君、背中のファスナー上げて。
Every time Daru opens his mouth, it's just a bad time.
僕そんなこと。ルカ君、こっちもお願い。そんな会話があの中で繰り広げられてるんかな。はあは
あ。ねえ、岡部さん、この人大丈夫なの？
Yes is the answer to that question. Maho had only met Daru a few times and she was already starting to be wary of him.
ダルは言動はああだが、害はない男だから心配しなくても平気だ。
それにスーパーハッカーなんだにゃ。
How have we not explained what Super Haka is at this point in the game? An extraordinarily talented hacker, someone who claims to be one, also used as a threat when an argument from an anonymous message board gets out of hand. For example, my buddy is a super hacker, and he'll hack you and find out your real name. From here, the term grew to refer to extremely talented hackers who clearly do not exist. Yeah, just like, I don't know, like, just call people, send text messages.
それを言うならハッカーだろ、ジョコ。
ハッカー？それ本当なの？
大きな声では言えんけど、まあそんな感じのこともやってるから、何かあったら頼んでくれてもいいのだぜ。
そっか。だったら。
Oh no!
Maho's head jerked up in surprise at the sudden voice. I followed where she was looking and saw...
Where? Japanese German girl はどこにいるんだい、リンタロウ?
If we didn't know you, the FBI would be on their way also. Dr. Luskin and Dr. Reyes looked absolutely miserable.
真帆からここに来ればジャパニーズシャーマンガールに会えると聞いてきたのにいないじゃない。
ジャパニーズシャーマンガール？
巫女さんのことよ。
Oh, I see.
今日はもう巫女さんの出番は終了です。
Holy cow! So I said
Holy
we should go
cow.
soon.
But you just enjoyed shopping too!
At least when you hear this background music, you know nothing serious is gonna happen. They can mess with you with that also. Like bouncy music, nah. Oh no. Please, don't kill me. They're both holding bags from electronics stores. Must have done a lot of shopping on the way here.
That's enough! どっちもどっちですよ。
Maybe they do. The two of them started to look around the shrine, not even bothering to hide their disappointment.
お待たせ、オカリ。
ずいぶん遅かったな、マユリ。
ルカ君のお母さんにね、おせちいっぱいもらっちゃった。みんなで食べなさいって。
母があれも持っていけこれも持っていけって詰め直してたらこんな時間になってしまいました。すみません。
いや、こっちこそ気を使ってもらって悪いな。
Excuse me? ちょっといいですか？
はい。
お参りというのはどうやるんですか？
First of all, we should purify our hands and mouth there.
No.
I see.
Please come with me. I'll show you how to do.
Luca led the two professors off to pray. I wondered if there wasn't some kind of religious problem inherent in all of this. If they were fine with it, it wasn't my place to say anything. What was more important...
ルカ子、すごいな。まさかあんなに英語喋れるとは。
Before Riku is voiced by Susa. This is something I always love doing, is I love looking at voice actors for stuff. Because I'll do something, and I'll be like, this voice sounds so familiar, but I can't place who it is. And then I'll look up and, depending on the voice actors, they'll have like 10,000 characters they voice. But usually I can find some similarity. Although recently I was looking up... I've been watching... Oh, what's the anime called? She the Greatest Weapon, I think it's called. And one of the main characters, the girl, I was like, oh, your voice sounds so familiar. And I looked her up, and it didn't match any characters I was thinking of. So it must just be someone who sounds similar to someone else. I just couldn't place it.
ルカ君、頭いいからね。
Was he?
それに、秋葉原は観光の人が多いから、何か聞かれてもいいように勉強してるんだって。
I just discovered a surprising side to Lukako.
そういえばマユリ、かがりはどうした？
Yeah, it depends on what it is. Like, probably 9 times out of 10 I'm looking it up, it's for an anime, and then I'll just go to my anime list and just see who the voice actor was. Or I just Google it. I'll just, Google whatever, Lukako voice actor, and see what comes up. And get the person's name, and then just Google their name and see, like, the Wikipedia page or whatever.
あれ？そろそろ出てくると。あ、来た来た。ほら。
ごめんね、お待たせしちゃって。
That was everybody then. We're ignoring Lukako. Oh, and now we're waiting for Lukiko to
Thanks a
finish.
lot. We had a wonderful experience.
Not at all.
Not at all.
それじゃあ
Text, it was
ラボに
nothing.
向かうか。
あ、そのことなんですけど、実は私この後休養が入っちゃって。え、ゆきさん来れないの？ごめんね、まゆりちゃん。バイトで欠員出てどうしても入ってくれって。そっか。それじゃあ仕方ないのです。
I saw that both Daru and Suzuha seemed disappointed too.
教授たちはこの後どうするんです？
私はこの後ヨガあるから。
私もよ。
今日はありがとう。素晴らしい。
Thanks, professors, for showing up for all of 5 minutes.
には会えなかったがね。
ほんとね。とってもエキサイティングだったわ。
それじゃあリンタロウ、たまにはクリスにも会ってやってくれ。
では皆さん、また。See you soon!
They smiled and disappeared into the bustling Akihabara streets.
じゃあ僕たちも行こうか。
If that's all you say, Daru, then fine. Even without Yuki, there were still twice as many people as usual heading for the lab.
それでは改めまして。明けましておめでとうございます。
And I think that's probably where I'm going to call today's stream, because it's getting a bit late for me.